Welcome back to Car Chat TV. My name's Oliver. Today we have two mid-sized SUVs that we're going to compare, the Audi Q5 Sportback against the Range Rover Velar. By the end of the episode, you're going to find out which one's the best. Let's go. Right, first up, let's jump in the car and see what I can see. Ride height, visibility, it's good. I'm a big fan of Audi anyway, so I'm used to the type of materials. Big 10.1 infotainment screen there, sitting Audi digital cockpit I like. Napa leather seats, good bolsters. Now, the visibility is great, big wing mirrors, and the bonnet slopes forwards as well. As I said, I'm a bit of an Audi fan anyway. Right, let's compare the ride height and what we just all spoke about in the Range Rover Velar. Right, now time for the Range Rover Velar. Ooh, let's get in. Oh, immediately I feel like I've just sat down a little bit lower in a bit of a spaceship. The bonnet is higher and I'm sitting lower, so I feel like I've got a little bit more of a sportier vibe. I've just seen the aerodynamic. I love it when that flashes up. Good materials again. You know, that's what you get at Range Rovers, more focused on comfort, performance and tech. Screen here sticking out. You've got a second screen here also. I do love, however, this is very modern and minimal, which I like, which is the gear selector, how it sits down. Then when you turn it on, that knob pops up and you can have a good fiddle and put it into drive. Okay, overall, I think this feels a little bit more sportier. It's really hard to compare both because that is a brand new car, hence it's a little bit cleaner, and this is a 2019. But seating position, this feels good. I like this. Cutting to the back of the Velar, just want to see what kind of space I've got in the rear seats. As you can see here, the knee room, look at that. You can get like an extra knee in there if you use knees as measurements. Down here, I've got a little button, so I've got a bit of wiggle room, electric reclinability with the back seat. Nice little speaker here, the Meridian sound system, cool feature there. And then headroom here, pretty comfortable. Nice comfortable place to be. Can't see too much because of the high bonnet, but as I'm a passenger, I just want to chill. Now I've jumped across into the Audi Q5 Sportback. Some really nice plush materials here on the doors, like velvety Alcantara. A little bit of netting. It's got a storage pack, knee room. Not as much, but I could probably shuffle that a little bit forward. What I do like is my seating position. I feel like I'm actually higher than the driver, so I can, if I'm quite nosy, a nosy passenger, I can see a lot more out onto the road, which I do like. Headroom here is good, but this is a really cool feature. Check this. This is a slidable bench, 12mm forwards if I need more space in the boot, or I can slide this rear bench all the way back. I think the Q5 takes it. Looking at boot space, the new Q5 Sportback's got 510 litres. Got a couple of tethering points here which are helpful, but the Range Rover Velar takes the bigger boot. It's 558 litres, as well as it's got a power outlet, so pretty handy. So the Velar is the winner there. In the Q5 Sportback, 45 TFSI. Let's have a few stats. So this is a 2-litre petrol and it's 265 PS and 460 Newton meters of torque. So this one actually can do 0 to 62 miles per hour in 6.1 seconds. So already I know that's going to be quicker than the Range Rover Velar because that's a D180 and it's a 2-litre diesel. So similar, it'll be more efficient as well. Visibility is great. Now, if you followed our journey on Car Chat TV, you'll know that Oliver loves his Audis. It's true. There's certain cars that everybody kind of likes, right? So I'm used to the MMI infotainment. This is a brand new one. So we've got a 10.1 infotainment screen which sits up, which is different, I think, because in some of the other Audi SUVs, they have them integrated into the dash and slightly focused towards the driver. This one, I think, helps the passenger because the volume button is on the passenger side as well. Anyway, I'm digressing. Everything feels good. It feels plush. The steering is very responsive. We've got a number of drive select modes, which you'll know about if you've been in other Audis. There's a button down here to click it, just under the dual zone climate control. You press that and you can press it up and down. We've got an off-road, we've got an efficiency, which I'm in at the moment because it's a 2-litre petrol, it's thirsty. I've got comfort, auto and dynamic. So let's put it on dynamic, because one thing I do enjoy about Audis is just how tight they are. We drove a Q7 and compared it to a Discovery on one of our videos as well, and it's still a big car, but it feels tight, and it feels the way it's set up, the balance is good. They don't get much roll in these SUVs. And this Q5 Sportback has got a 5 multi-link suspension setup, and everything just feels that little bit tighter, more agile. And so far I've had this car a week and I've really enjoyed just the performance side of it. I mean, I think a lot of people will be going for the diesel version of this, but it's so comfortable. The comfort levels are great. The way the suspension is set up, I've been hitting some big divots, not aiming on purpose. Audi, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, the wheels are fine. But you genuinely don't feel much. You do not feel much. And actually, this is a great point, because I'm going to throw it back to Adam in a moment, because he's in the back and we like doing a little bit of the, you know, what the comfort level's like and the suspension. But if you're watching this video, there's just a few things I want you to know. The handling is great. The ability to change on the drive select to lighten the steering is superb. I actually own a Q5 Gen 1 and I always found the steering a little bit too stiff, so I love that you can change it up and have it on efficient and comfort, and the steering is super light, easy to park. But the suspension is great. It's a big selling point for me, this 5-link multi-arm setup suspension, super smooth, great. The infotainment is really responsive. The interior, it's very Audi, plush materials everywhere. You're going to get that in the Range Rover Velar as well. That's a 2019. I've only recently updated that, so there's not too many changes. Obviously grills, bumpers, lights, but the Velar Range Rover is a very nice place to be inside, just like this Audi, to be honest. As I said earlier, I want to know about comfort levels in the back seat. Adam's there behind me. Adam, talk to me.
So obviously I quite like the Range Rover, as it is my car. But so I'm going to try not to be biased though. I'm going to give the Q5 a fair chance. So I'm sitting in the back of the Q5 and I just want to report about the space. You can see knee room is quite good. Headroom, for me, there's plenty. I know the Sportback, some people say there's slightly less, but I'd say actually there's plenty of headroom for me. I've got my climate control in the middle, which is quite nice. I would say it doesn't feel like a huge car. So people say Land Rovers and Range Rovers, they feel like a presence and they feel quite big, especially on the road. But I'd say that the Q5, even from the back, it feels quite nimble. Comfort wise, I would say the Range Rover is slightly more pillowy on the suspension. I feel like you can feel some of the lumps and bumps, especially in the back. We're actually going over some now. So I'd say the Range Rover is probably slightly more comfortable. The seats, very nice. I quite like the quilting in the seats. It's quite a nice little touch. I'd say they're not super soft, but yeah, I'd say for me, I would still say the Range Rover has it, and that's not just me being biased.
The thing I do want to talk about is efficiency. Now with the Audi Q5 Sportback, there's 3 different options you could go for. You go for the 40, which is a TDI 2-litre diesel. It's going to be more efficient with the MPG. This one, like I said, is a 2-litre 45 TFSI, and then you have the 50, which is a plug-in hybrid. But comparing it to the Range Rover Velar, that's a D180. That's a good buy from Adam, because it's a very efficient car. It says 48.7 MPG, which is laughable really, because it's going to get high 30s, maybe max. 48 MPG for the Velar is, you know, not realistic. But this, Audi say that this gets 32.1 MPG. Now normally manufacturers always state a little bit higher, so the fact they're stating such a bit of a low MPG to begin with worries me a little bit of who's going to buy this car, because in the world where we're being pushed towards hybrid and electrification, full EVs, you're going to be spending a lot of money on petrol, 32, if you're only getting through 32 MPG. Now I've been driving this car for a week. I've got a bit of a short-term memory on here, not myself, but on the trip. And at the moment it's saying 31.1 MPG of us being around filming with the car today. So I think maybe 32 MPG could be pretty realistic. But overall, if you're looking for a mid-size SUV and efficiency is important to you, then the Range Rover Velar is going to win on that front. The biggest thing we need to look at is price. Now a brand new Range Rover Velar starts at £46,000. That's obviously going to be the SE standard bumpers and whatnot. The Audi Q5 Sportback starts from around 48k. So straight away, if you're going for cost and you want to reduce the costs of the list price, then you're going to go Velar, aren't you? I mean, you're saving £2,000, which I bet if you asked a load of people, general public, and said, look, which car costs more, a lot of people would look at the Range Rover and think, I think the Range Rover would more, and they'd be wrong. They would be wrong. So let me know in the comments, knowing that there's a £2,000 difference between this and the Range Rover Velar, I want to hear from you. You guys are normally pretty good saying what you think in the comments, so let me know what you would take. The aesthetics of both cars, again, it's like an art form, cars. It's very subjective, but I think majority of people would agree that the Range Rover Velar looks better. It looks sleek, and Range Rover, when they were designing their new generations of cars, said a big focus was on reductionism, just keeping it super lean, crisp and smooth, and the car looks great. And the Velar, with that rakish back sloping to the ground, just kind of low slung, looks more sporty. It's a good looking car, and the Q5 Sportback is a Q5, obviously with a sloping rear bit. So I think I would choose the Range Rover Velar. I said at the start I'm an Audi person, and I am, but I just feel, comparing it to the Range Rover Velar is a better looking car. Front, back, grille. The Audi Sportback, this one, the Q5, is the Edition 1, so we get those black elements which help, but I think you have to pay a little bit more to get the actual black badge on the front. It's still got the silver badge on a black grille. Just black it all out, but obviously you got to spend the money to up spec the car. So I think the exterior really different. Now, one thing I always like to check on SUVs is just what it's like to park using the cameras. I would say the cameras on this are super crisp, and they definitely allow you. I'm old school, I still don't trust the cameras, you know. I still have to do a little bit of looking around, but I'm trying to look at the cameras here. Got the yellow lines, that's coming in well. And look at that, that's easy. It's very manageable. I'm just going to drive it forward a bit so I can straighten up. But the cameras are super crisp. That's easy, that is easy. I mean, I don't know what it'd be like driving it and parking it in a multi-storey car park, because that's always a bit tight. But that's passed the test, easy. So that has been our episode comparing the Audi Q5 Sportback against the Range Rover Velar. This drives great, but I think overall it's very subjective. The interior is very, compared to materials, this has got great materials in it, so has the Range Rover Velar. I think I'm going to be going for, if I had to choose one, knowing that I'm going to save £2,000 for a better looking car, I'd be going for the Range Rover Velar. You'll have to let me know what you would choose down in the comments below. As always, throw us a like, get subbed, and I'll see you on the next one.